Good morning. We're currently in Villa La Angostura, which is one of the tiny towns around Bariloche in Argentina. And today we're gonna go to Bosque de Arrayanes. The legend says that this forest is an inspiration for Bambi's movie. So I'm very excited because that's a movie that I watched a lot when I was a kid.
And there's two ways to get to the end. The tip of the peninsula is by ferry right behind us and by walking. Walking is around 12 kilometers.
Yes, which will be around 5 hours just to go there and then 5 hours to go back. But if you pay 35,000 Argentinian pesos per person, which is around $32, you can go and come back on the ferry, and it will take only a few minutes.
Yeah, if you don't have all day, the ferry is the option to take. And if you don't want to hike too much, the ferry is also the option.
So keep watching if you want to see how Bambi's forest is.
The first ferry leaves at 11:30 in the morning and it's around 10:30, so we have an hour to spare. You have to also buy the ticket for the park, the national park entrance, which is around 20 pesos per person. It's been rainy these last few days because it's May, it's fall and close to winter time. So we are lucky today that it's sunny and it looks beautiful outside. Hopefully it stays like that and we don't get any rain. Otherwise, we'll have to come back a little bit early.
So we are about to board the ferry that will take us to the park, and then there with a guide we're gonna do a tour or a small trek, I think, which is an hour and a half. We are on our way to the tip of the Arrayanes Forest. So we're very happy and we are at the top of the boat because the weather today is beautiful. The sun came out and we're enjoying a 45-minute boat ride to go around the peninsula of Arrayanes National Park. The difference we have between the rest of the Patagonia and this part of the Patagonia is that it rains a lot. So the reason for that is that it's a low pressure area and all the winds that come from the Pacific, they come from a high pressure area and they are filled with water. By the time they go up in the Andes, they condensate and then it rains in this area. That's why we have humid forest, which is very interesting because then you have all these massive lakes that are made out of ice water or pretty much melts from the glaciers. Another cool fact that we just learned was that for people that likes to fish, apparently this is a good place to fish because at some point in history, around 120 years ago, they introduced an invasive species of salmon, the trout, I guess Patagonian trout or something like that, and it's pretty much killing all the native fish around here. So they have a fishing season that they open once a year and you can come and fish all that salmon.
This dock is a little sketchy.
So we just made it to Arrayanes National Park, and the reason for that name is because of this tree, the Arrayán tree. Now this tree is very important in this park because it's the only place or one of the two places that you can find a lot of these trees big enough and in the same area. So that's why it's protected. Now this Arrayán tree apparently was the inspiration for Walt Disney to do the Bambi movie. We don't know, that might be a legend. What we do know is that all these trees are around 600 years old, which is very impressive, and that's why one of the reasons why they are protected. So here is the peninsula where the Arrayán National Park is, and we started here on the boat and we went around and we left the boat here. If you want to hike all the way back to the initial port, then it will be 11 kilometers or 12 kilometers, which is probably around 4 to 5 hours hike. We don't have that time, that's why we need to hop back on the boat and we're gonna do the sailing back to the initial port. Here I have also two Arrayán trees, this one and this one right here. And the importance of this wood is that the Arrayán tree is going through a evolving process at the moment. And of course that will take thousands of years, but what we have noticed here in this forest is that it's going from a bush type plant to a tree type plant. And here in this forest is the forest that has the most tree type Arrayanes. So the tour guide was explaining us that this Arrayán tree doesn't have a bark. So you can feel the difference between the Arrayán tree and the normal trees with bark in temperature. Since they don't have a bark, it's like their jacket, they don't have it, so it's colder, since at night they get more colder temperatures and they're drinking cold water, so they reflect that temperature when you touch it, and it's a big difference. So for the same reason the tree doesn't have a bark and other reasons, it's a very sensible tree and it gets damaged pretty easily. So that's one of the reasons we have the national park here protecting that species, which is recuperating. So biodiversity here is also a nice thing. The problem is that I don't think that doing the loop you're gonna see anything, but you can, if you do the big hike, you can probably see some deer, sea otters, red foxes, birds, and I guess that's it. So we just made it to the tea house. That's the name right there. And here you can have some coffee, you can have some mate if you're into that, and you can have some sweets like desserts. So let's see what they have and see what we can buy.
So what'd you get?
Coffee.
They got a coffee, and I got a alfajor, dark chocolate, and
Hazelnut.
hazelnut. Ooh, I like hazelnut. It's more crunchy than what I'm used to, but it's still good. I feel like every alfajor is good.
So we just left the tea house, which I learned that was part of the property. It was like a hunting cabin for someone that actually had property here before it was turned into national park. Now it's just a coffee place for all of us that come here, and so we can have something to snack on and drink. And it was pretty delicious, to be honest.
Yeah, my alfajor was good. Alfajors are always good at this point.
Now we are heading back to the boat because our trip is coming to an end and we need to sail back to the first dock. And we have completed the loop. It was an hour and a half, pretty slow pace, just learning and admiring the forest and the trees. I'm grateful for this weather. We didn't have this in the past like 4 or 5 days. Now I just wonder how that trail will be all the way back to the city. Maybe we'll have to come back and do it.
Once we get back to Villa La Angostura, we're gonna head to San Martin.
San Martín de los Andes.